Okay, so today we are going to be making a drawer organizer. I've measured up the inside of my drawer here in the design office, and I've worked out that I need a container that is 120 millimeters by 100 millimeters by 70 millimeters. So what I'm going to do to begin making this 3D printable model is, as ever, create a sketch. I'm going to create my sketch on the bottom plane here, and I am going to then go to the create drop down and look at my 2D tools. I want to create a rectangle, and I'm going to create a center rectangle. I much prefer the center rectangle to the 2-point rectangle, as it means that you can start from the middle of the page, and it means that your rectangle is going to be bang on center. Right, what dimensions do I want? Well, looking at my notes, I always draw my trusty notes. I want 70 millimeters, and then I want it to be 70 millimeters by 120 millimeters. So I'll hit the tab button. That will lock in the 70 millimeter dimension I've drawn and allow me to type 120 millimeters. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to hit enter. Very quickly, we've hashed out a rough, or very accurate footprint for the drawer organizer. But I want some rounded edges on here because I don't want sharp edges on my final product. So what I'm going to do is go over to the fillet tool, which is up the top here. Again, if we're not sure what a tool does, we can just hover over that tool. And if we hover over a fillet, it says that it places an arc of a specified radius at the intersection of two lines. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, if we click on the tool, it means we can select this line here and this line here, and then we can choose how soft we want that corner to be. So I'm going to go for 5 millimeters. Once I've instructed the radius to be 5 millimeters, I can then click on other lines within the sketch, and they will automatically switch to 5 millimeters, like so. Once I've done that, I can hit enter, and I'm happy with this. I've got a nice 2D drawing of a rectangle with some soft 5 millimeter edges. Well, what should I do now? Next, I'm going to make this shape 3-dimensional. So I'm going to hit E for extrude, our trusty friend, the extrude tool, which makes our 2D shapes 3D. And I'm going to pull the shape up, and I'm going to have a look at my notes again. Looking at my notes, I want my shape to be 100 millimeters tall, so 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to hit enter. Very quickly, we are starting to hash out the general shape for the drawer organizer. Now I've applied this 5 millimeter fillet to the sides of the rectangle, the original rectangle that we extruded. I also want to apply a fillet to the base, and now is a good time to do it. You'll see why later, but it's all to do with how we excavate the material from within the drawer organizer. So I'm going to go along to modify, and I'm going to go along to fillet, F for fillet, and if we select F for fillet, it will allow us to soften this bottom edge here by 5 millimeters. Now I'm going to click OK. So what have we got? Well, we've got a cuboid that has got soft edges on the base and round each side. I've left the top as a sort of sharp, clean edge, and that is so we can excavate the material from in here, and then we still have quite a clean edge that we can play with when it comes to deciding upon how we finish that kind of top lip of the drawer organizer. So the next job we need to think about is how do we take the material from the middle of this solid block thus making a storage container? Well, again, we're going to go to our friend, the modify drop down, or in fact, the shell tool, which is within the modify group of tools. If we're not sure what tool does, we can always hover over it and have a read. The shell tool allows you to excavate material from within a solid shape, but leaves a solid wall behind. So if we select the shell tool to see what it does in action, it asks us a series of questions. And it says, well, what body do we want to shell? And which face do we want to shell? I want to shell this top face here. And how thick do we want it? Well, I want it to be 3 millimeters thick. Or do I like the look of 2 millimeters more? 2 millimeters looks a bit better and won't use as much filament up when I go to print. However, it'll be less durable. So perhaps we'll go for 3. Looking around at the model, I'm happy with that. You can now see, if we zoom in here, why I chose to fillet the base of the model first. And that is so that fillet was replicated on the inside of the shape that were created. If we'd have done it after, there may be a weakness at the corners where that fillet wasn't replicated. If you don't quite understand what I mean, have a go at making this model and have a little experiment as to when you choose to fillet each corner. You'll quickly learn the order in which to do things. The beautiful thing about CAD is if things go wrong, it doesn't matter because we can just go and change it again. No one gets hurt. Everything can be changed. We are in charge. So happy with that. So I've clicked OK. What's next? Well, looking at my plans, I need to cut out a little lip at the front of this storage container. So I'm going to click on the front face of the toggle cube up here, and I'm going to create a sketch on that front face. Now, up for a bit of artistic license here, I'm going to sketch out what I think would be an appropriate lip. So I'm going to go L for line. Now this is going to be a construction line because I'm sort of just using the line to measure. If I hover over the top of this solid body, you can see that a little triangle pops up. That triangle is telling me that I'm slap bang in the middle of the face that we're drawing upon. So I'm going to use my construction line. I want to come down 10 millimeters and click there, and I'm happy with that. And I want to come out 30, and I want to go up another 10. Now, I don't actually want these lines to be construction lines. I want them to be solid, so I can change that. I can click on that line, unclick construction, and it turns solid. Do the same again over here. Now this is good because I can then use the fillet tool up here to select this line and this line and just soften where those two join and click OK. Oh look, that's strange. It has made the fillet a construction line and I don't want it to be a construction line. So I'm going to select it and then unclick construction over here, and I'm happy with that. Happy with that shape. So I'm going to come over to the mirror tool. I'm not sure what it does. I hover over it and I give it a read. The mirror tool is fairly self-explanatory. I'm going to select it. It asks me a couple of questions. Objects, well, what do I want to mirror? I want to mirror that line, and that line. And what do I want to mirror it into? Well, you remember moments ago I drew this construction line. I want to mirror it there. And oh look, it replicates the two lines across the face, like so. Okay. So I'm going to use the closed body or the closed shape that I've drawn here to extrude cut through the solid body that already exists. The way I do that is using the shortcut E for extrude, and I will select the shape that I've drawn, and I will simply pull through, remembering that when I see this sort of translucent red, it means that it's cutting away material. I can double check that by going to operation. It says cut, and I can click OK. And very quickly, we've managed to take away some material there. Now looking at my plans, there's also a fillet on these top edges here. So I'm going to select fillet, or F for fillet, and I'm going to click that edge and that edge, and I'm just going to pull them in a little bit. I think actually I went to 7.5 on the other fillets. Does that look right, or did I go to 5? I can't remember. It's very important to write these things down. I went to 5 looking at that. So I'm trying to replicate that fillet to be the same as that one. So it must have been 5. Okay, excellent. There we go. Looking at my plans, I'm quite happy with how this has turned out. And I am ready to now 3D print this shape. There we go.